pledge allegiance
to the flag
of
of
the
the
United
United States of
States,
America,
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is approval of the agenda motion.
One of the newest safety precautions in Bristol, Virginia public schools is the use of metal detectors. Metal detectors are placed at each student and visitor entrance and are monitored by a staff member. A lockdown drill was A lockdown drill took place in each BVPS school during the first month of school. Each parent was notified about the drill prior to it taking place. Students were all able to be placed in a locked area or classroom during the standard safety procedure. A new lockdown technique was used for the drill, where instead of announcing the drill, all teacher and student computers displayed a lockdown pop-up, and emergency lights inside of each classroom began to flash red. BVPS schools also practiced a beginning of the year fire drill. All students were shown to their classes' designated waiting area outside of the school building and were accounted for by their teachers.
This month, we held our class officer elections. Different student body classes ran for a chance to be on the student body. Seniors, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen are campaigning to win over their fellow classmates. Multiple people ran, but only a few won for each class. These students are also going to go on the student council, which will go over student issues, rallies, and school events. So for the people who won, I'm so proud of all of them. You should see their signs. Their signs were so fun. Phoebe Edwards won for class president of the senior class. Jackson Trent, vice president. Sailor Jenkins, secretary. Charlie Carpenter, treasurer. And Caitlin Wheelis, reporter. For the junior class, Sarah Page was the class president. Ella Duff, vice president. Casey Cody, secretary. Here, Dodia, treasurer. And April Arnold, reporter. For sophomore, we have Chloe Ward, class president, Ezekiel Postel, vice president, Mandy Reagan, secretary, Hannah Tam, treasurer, and Jerea Bryant, reporter. And for our freshman class, last but not least, Alex Karaoke, class president, Noah Ellison, vice president, Tyler Pitcock, secretary, Philip Williams, treasurer, Tristan Lester, reporter. We are so happy to have student bodies to be able to willing to go out and be with their fellow classmates and campaign. It's such a great opportunity that we have at our school.
This past month, the cafeteria has incorporated Moo Brew into their breakfast menu. It's a set of pre-made coffee drinks. I believe students will take their milk that they get with their breakfast and they'll place it in a cup pre-filled with ice. And I believe it's caramel, a choice of caramel, vanilla, or mocha, and coffee. And they'll be able to have that with their breakfast. And this seems to be very popular among the students. So there is some merit to the pep that it brings. And our football team, at the time of writing, it was 2-3. I'm not sure if it's changed any. And I definitely can attest to that Tazewell game last week. We did pretty well, to say the least.
These are our cheerleaders. Sorry. We didn't really have anything to show. We just wanted to show how wonderful our support team is with our cheerleaders. I will say that they are definitely bringing it up for our student dress up week. I mean, come on. I wish we could have photos to show you guys. We're going to have to show it next month.
For volleyball, the varsity volleyball team's record is 5-11 and 1-0 in the Southwest District. The JV volleyball team has had a great season as well. The VHS golf team has had a great season so far, sending 5 of their top 6 players to regions. Best of luck to Nate Harper, Landon Lee, Elijah Jackson, Michael Collins, and Mason Campbell.
This is our very own Wilson Hartley and our Bearcat Band, which are doing great this year, I have to say. This is our wonderful student section. It's always so amazing to see students come out and support athletic events. Thank you so much.
That was very well done. Seems like there's a lot going on.
Thank you all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome, Santana. Pleasure to have you as a board member, and we look forward to the 4th member of the team next month, hopefully. And if you are a very astute observer, you may have noticed tucked way in the back of that, the last slide, behind the student section, I was standing up there giving my approval for it. So it's like finding Where's Waldo in that picture, but I assure you I'm in there. For my report this month, each month in preparation for this portion of our public meeting, I ask leaders of our various departments to help me line up highlights to share with the school board and the general public. This time around, everybody feels that it's appropriate to take a moment to hold our families and our neighbors in our hearts and minds for a moment in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. We had members of our Bearcat family who have had to overcome a tremendous amount of adversity in the past weeks, and some whose losses are just unthinkable. So while the city and our students, for the most part, were able to pull things back together in a pretty quick timeline, we know that has not been the case for every employee and for many families in our surrounding area. Our hearts go out to everyone who is grieving and everyone who is continuing to work to offset the losses, everyone who is working to support the rebuilding of the community, whether through volunteerism, donation, or prayer. And before I continue, I would like to invite the board to join me in this sentiment. I'll pause my remarks here if you guys would like to offer your own words at this time.
I've just truly found all of this so overwhelming. It's really hard to find words and to know that a hurricane can come this far and into our mountains and do what was done. But we had lots of water before the hurricane, and then the hurricane came, and then came the floods. So it was just everything that you heard. I know that you would agree with me, was just totally unbelievable. The pictures that we're seeing do not do it justice as to what is there. I think it was today I looked about Unicoi County and where their schools are still being used as shelters. They're not having class. And a comment made, well, how can we do things online with our students? And so many lost their homes and their possessions, and there were the devices that were washed away. So that's not an impossible thing. And this is us. It's not just Florida. And I am sorry that nationally that our areas are not being reported on as Asheville is and Florida. So it's just been something that's weighed on me heavily. And doing what can be done as it can be done is appreciated by all.
Well, I will say, I think we live in the best area there is to live in. And when something like this happens, I've seen the the slogan Appalachia Strong, and it certainly has brought people together and people doing what they can to help each other. And I think it just shows the character of the Appalachia region. And I'm just proud to live here, and proud that we can gather together and, you know, whatever differences we want to have at the time, and just work together. And I really love that about our area. So that's about all I got.
I'd like to say I've been out and seen some of the devastation. I've seen roads that have been there since I was a kid, and it's going to take a long time to get a lot of those fixed, and they'll probably never be the way they were. And the suffering and the loss is unimaginable. I mean, but I think we all need to realize it's not going to be repaired and fixed in a short time. It's going to take a long time, and so we don't want to. Even though if the news stops covering or you stop hearing about it, it's still there. It's going to take a long time. So I think we all need to, our churches, our civic clubs, our communities need to keep that in mind for the next year or two or three or whatever it takes. And it needs to be a priority in our minds and in our hearts.
It's incredible how fragile our infrastructure is when we're hit with the severity of Helene that comes all the way from Florida to southern Appalachia. And like our colleague here said, it's going to take time to repair these things. And like the bridges over at Irwin on the Nolichucky, incredibly just washed away. And it's going to, the water systems and the sewage systems and everything we take for granted just up and goes down in a big stream of water. It's unbelievable. And I've got friends over in Asheville, and every road to Asheville was torn up. It was an island sitting there in the mountains. And I was out of electricity for 35 hours and internet for a week, and I thought, boy, am I fortunate. I don't have mud in my house. And there are a lot of people that are suffering, and we need to give when we can to our churches and the Red Cross and Salvation Army and all of them, and pray for everybody. Yeah, I think it's amazing. I had a big tree, 120-foot tree, fall on my house. And it's the first time that I've ever really suffered any damage from one of these storms. But the amazing thing about it all is the number of people who came to check on me and others on my street. And when I would talk to them, people who were repairing things, they came from places like Front Royal, you know, from places that really had nothing to do with it. And they gave me such faith, a renewal of faith in the inhabitants of Appalachia. I think we've got it made. You don't hear about this kind of thing in other places. Other communities just don't come together like this one did. And we take care of our own. So yeah, Appalachian proud.
Thank you each for that. As I segue back into my report, it's also appropriate to acknowledge that our department leaders and school administrators did an outstanding job recognizing what needed to be done for our students and our staff members in our buildings. We did not experience any food spoilage due to power outages. Our custodial staff and administrators stayed on top of the cleanup effort for the few weeks that we did, the leaks that we did experience. And that is all part of their job, but it is also deserving of recognition. We had notable examples of students and staff to recognize. Kevin Wright, coach and teacher at Virginia High, and Miss Tasha Foy, our PTO president, headed an effort to collect supplies for our neighbors in Damascus. Mr. Wright and Mrs. Foy and many students loaded 3 truckloads of supplies and got those delivered to Damascus. So we want to give them a round of applause here. So moving on then to our school nutrition report. Last week was our Farm to School week, where we featured some locally sourced items, and this week is National School Lunch Week. From Human Resources, happy to update that we are in good shape for this time of year. All full-time classroom positions are filled. There are only a few positions division-wide that we are still looking for candidates to fill, and including in that is a couple bus driver positions, a maintenance position, and some part-time positions. Our finance department, pleased to share that we have completed, probably next to the budget, I think the annual school report is the largest undertaking for the school finance department every year. And we got that completed on time and shared the love. So I know Heather Watson helped Tammy with that this year, or in fact did the lion's share of that. So want to thank her for the hard work. You have a copy of the auditor's report at your seat tonight, and the auditors will be here at the December meeting to present on that. And Ms. Jones has provided, I think later in the agenda, the budget calendar. Is that correct, Ms. Jones? Budget calendar, is that? Okay. So we'll have that for review later. October is Bullying Intervention Month. At all of our schools, we had various anti-bullying things as part of our campaign there. I think at every school we had a poster contest, a lot of SEL, social emotional learning happening to talk about bullying prevention strategies, and some fun dress-up days to go along with that. So we are taking very seriously Bullying Prevention Month. In terms of athletics, as the student reps mentioned, we had 5 of our 6 golfers go on to the regions, and today Mr. Landon Lee participated in the state tournament. Landon represented us well, but ultimately did not finish in the top 2. But as I told Mr. Harper, the round that he had today, I would be ecstatic to have for myself, and I would call every person in my family if I played as well as Landon did today. Tomorrow, our track team is headed on a field trip to Virginia Tech. So we're taking approximately 30 students to Virginia Tech to get a tour of the facilities and I believe a workout there. This is homecoming week at Virginia High, and it is going to be a very fun-filled week. The volleyball team plays at home on Wednesday. On Thursday night, we have our CTE Carnival and Bonfire. On Friday evening, in addition to the football game, our Education Foundation is hosting a reunion event. At the football game, we will be joined by Virginia Attorney General Jason Mayeres, still working on pronouncing that. He will be there. George Allen will be there. Albert Hainsworth and Jay Novacek. So we'll have some VIPs on hand for that, and part of their campaign is they have an ID kit for students. So you'll see some of that apparatus in our parking lot for the homecoming game. And then we have our students have the homecoming dance on Saturday evening. In the upcoming seasons for Thanksgiving and Christmas time, we are already busy at work with some of the preparations for that. Our office, particularly Mrs. Sarah DeBusk, has been working with Santa Pals, Inc. to line up sponsors and receive donations for Christmas time. This is just another example of the work that BVPS does in connection with community partners. This time it's partnering with Santa Pals and the United Way, and just goes to show more of the caring spirit here in Bristol. And as I wrap up this month's report, there are a few things on the horizon that I'm very excited about. We continue to hear great things from our students actual feedback from our students about the science lab that we have at Virginia Intermediate. Not a week goes by where we don't hear from some staff member being approached by students saying that they're excited about the different experiments that they're able to do in the science lab. I know that I've mentioned Mrs. Carmen Harper a couple times so far this year up here at the dais. But Carmen's doing a lot of work with the teachers there to get students excited about hands-on learning and about the scientific method. And to hear that they're coming up to staff members in public outside of school hours raving about the fun things they're doing there, it really delights me. Also very happy to announce that we're going to be hiring on a family engagement coordinator to assist with some of the federal programming responsibilities that we have at our schools. As Title I schools, both Virginia Primary School and Virginia Intermediate School receive some federal funding to supplement classroom learning, instructional support, and family engagement. Many of you realize that anytime that you're dealing with federal dollars, there are certain strings attached. For Title I schools, there are requirements for family events and opportunities for the school to partner with parents to get parents more comfortable with the curriculum and the instructional strategies and resources that are being used with their children. So our hope is that a family engagement coordinator will be able to work with Dr. Faith Mabe, who's our Director of Federal Programs, and also be able to work with our principals to ensure that we're not only meeting the requirements for the federal standards, but also exceeding those for family engagement. And last, I would like to comment on the hard work that our elementary teachers are doing in relation to the Virginia Literacy Act. All teachers have completed their first round of letters training to this point, and the feedback from the teachers has been very positive. There's no sugarcoating the fact that there's a lot of work to do, and the balance of hours is still very much, it's very much the fact that there's way more work still to be done than what has already been completed. But the teachers are seeing the benefit of the training. They're learning ways to improve instruction. They're getting explanation for some of the language rules that they maybe never understood before. And what's so powerful about it is this. When you have, I've never met a teacher who, given the choice between an adequate strategy and an expert level understanding of a strategy, chooses just to be adequate. And our teachers right now are getting expert level training on the science of reading, and they're carrying that into their classroom, and they're reporting that their students are more engaged in the work. They're seeing higher percentages of their students able to stay in the mainstream classroom rather than being pulled out to work with a specialist. And that all spells enrichment in reading, and I think that we're going to continue to see positive growth with that, and I'm very excited about the momentum that we've been able to generate so far this year through our professional development effort. And with that, I will conclude my report. Thank you.
If we move along, would you like to continue now with your crisis plans?
This is crisis next. The cell phone policy is next on the agenda.
Cell phone, excuse me.
Last year, we brought the cell phone policy regulations in front of the board 3 consecutive months, and we were attempting to create a regulation that created a little bit more clarity around expectations for student cell phone usage and what that looked like in the classroom. And where we ended up was, I think, a step in the right direction as far as trying to reduce the distractions that cell phones cause during instruction. And we had input from students, from parents, from teachers, and from school administrators on that. And the regulation that is displayed right now is where we ended up. We were approaching this from a standpoint, though, of cell phones being a distraction in the classroom and interfering with instruction. The governor has issued an executive order that wants to take this a step further, and his approach is different from ours in that whereas we approached it from cell phones can be a distraction in the classroom, the governor and his office are looking at it as the health concern that cell phones bring. And it's a concern about students being addicted to social media, students trading real interactions, face-to-face interactions with other students for more contact time with their phone. And there's some health statistics that have been shared and have been kind of high level in the press about some of the detrimental effects of having a cell phone in your hand all the time and what that's doing to the minds of our adolescents. One of the books that has become a bestseller here in the last several months, we've procured copies of that for you. It's called The Anxious Generation, and this is what the First Lady had the fireside chat and was discussing this whole dilemma with the author of that book. So we've got that for your leisure reading. But the purpose of bringing the cell phone policy out into the open again here tonight is to set the stage for the next couple months. In the next couple months, so in November, for instance, our plan is to bring a recommendation for you that goes the next logical step with our regulations, and to give you November and December to think about that. And then at the December meeting, we would like to get the approval of the board to adopt the new regulation, and that would put us in compliance with the timeline laid out in the executive order, where we would have a cell phone-free school policy ready to go in January. And so the major differences that we're looking at, and tonight we're not going to get into the weeds of what happens if there's a violation, but what we're looking at is what steps do we need to take to go from where we are now, which is no cell phones during instructional time, to widening that window a little bit to say, say it's 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning. After that time, no more cell phones until the end of the day, so that students aren't using phones between classes or at lunch. The author of that book makes a good point that the way that we're doing it now, the unintended consequence of that is we've kind of created a Pavlov's dog kind of situation where when the students know they've got 5 minutes between classes to check their phones, that's all they want to think about is checking their phones. And so it would be in everybody's best interest to bookend that a little bit better and to say that it stops at this time in the morning and it resumes at the end of the school day. But there are a lot of details to work out, and we'll be bringing those recommendations in November. Does the board have any comments that they would like to share before we move on to the next item?
Did any of y'all get to see the roundtable discussion? Did any of y'all see that? So this guy was talking about why bell to bell. And just as Dr. Scott mentioned, in between classes, if they have their phones in between classes, they send that last text or whatever, and all they're thinking while they're in the classroom is getting back to respond to their response. One of the interesting things that he said in that was that after a month, well, he got phone calls from school systems across the nation that had implemented this bell-to-bell elimination of the phones, and they said something's happening, and he's like, what? And they said, well, for the first 30 days in the lunchroom, it was totally quiet. And then after about 30 days, the kids realized how they could communicate with each other, and the noise in the lunchroom was just exciting because kids were actually talking. They weren't on their phones, they were socializing. So his whole point of going bell to bell is, if you have it during periods during the day, that's all that you're going to think about is getting back on your phone. And if you eliminate that, then all you can think about is the instruction, and learn how to talk, how to have a relationship without your thumbs. So I haven't read the book. I just heard the roundtable discussion, but it was really good. I mean, he's got some really good statistics, and this is kind of going in the weeds a little bit, but he even recommended no social media, no smartphones till you're 16 years old. He said you can have a phone, just not smartphones. Just an old phone that you can just call. That's all, because what's out there, what kids can get on without supervision, it's just making them anxious. Anxiety is building just because of technology. So I'd encourage y'all to read the book. I'm going to read it. I just got an hour's worth of roundtable, but it was really good. Thanks for the book, too.
Yeah. I think what we've done in the first place is a good start. But I'm welcoming getting pushed into no cell phones at all. Because cell phones are a way to bully that we probably don't recognize as adults, but there's a lot of bullying going on online. And to get that out of the classroom and out of the school and having lunch where people actually talk, that's all a good thing. I'm in favor of it.
Thank you.
Now the crisis.
And now, yes, item D, the discussion of the crisis plan. I have copies to provide for you. The crisis plan has been now vetted with, or vetted is not exactly the right word, but discussed and developed with input from the chief of police and the fire chief, and we've begun training on it. We had been waiting for a while to get everything pulled together, so now we have a properly formatted crisis plan. We'll be distributing that over the course of the next week or so, but I'd like you to take a copy of that home. This is a secure document, so it's not going to be publicly available in the form that you get it, but we are going to have then classroom ancillary resources that go with that we'll be able to distribute to teachers also. But all of this builds upon the standard response protocol that I've discussed at other board meetings. And so I think it's going to be very familiar to us, but it'll be a manual for our school administrators to go by that has some detailed information about reunification, and again, some of those confidential elements there that we want everybody to be acquainted with and know very well, but we can't necessarily share publicly for some security reasons. So we do have those for your consumption tonight.
I would ask Dr. Denabriga to come forward with recognition of our coffee cart.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, and Dr. Scott. I want to thank you for allowing us to be here this evening to celebrate and recognize a really experiential activity that is going on in our elementary schools. So I want to welcome tonight Miss Jordan King, Miss Alina Shortridge, Miss Dixon, did she have to go? Oh, she's here. Miss Bailey Dixon, who are teacher and instructional assistant in one of our special education programs at Virginia Intermediate School. And we also have Jackson with us and Shiloh and their mom and dads who brought them here this evening. So just to give you a little background, we had hired a teacher back in 2020, Amy Cuddy, and before she was able to start with us, unfortunately, she passed away. And our special education department received donations in her memory. And it took us really a long time to figure out what it is that we wanted to do to honor her. She was an amazing teacher, and she was wonderful with our population of students, and we wanted to do something that she would be proud of and something that she would love. And so after a lot of deliberation, we decided that doing something that was really allows our students to be experiencing while they're learning. And we came up with doing a coffee cart. And so there is a pamphlet that you have there, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But we started it last year. You'll see that there's some pictures to show how it goes in action. You'll notice that the picture on the front is not the same cart because they were running the cart last year at Van Pelt, and when we separated into two schools, the teachers at Van Pelt said, wait a minute, you can't go to the other school and not give us the chance to have the coffee. And so we got 2 cards. And so we have a card at each of the schools. They take orders. You'll notice that they have even an email address on the back. So they take the orders and they deliver. And our students have had a wonderful opportunity of developing their social skills, of course, fundamental math skills, cooking, and preparation, shopping, and our staff members have done an amazing job of leading them through this process. And so we just wanted to have the opportunity tonight to recognize everything that they're doing and their successes. You'll see that they've made, between last year and this year, $1,000, which is pretty amazing. And it's not just coffee. They've expanded this year to snacks, and they are even doing some smoothies. So they're really growing their business, and it's a great thing. So what better way to recognize them than to bring them before our board. So we appreciate you allowing them to be here this evening, and I'd love to give them a round of applause for their hard work.
Did you get DoorDash too?
And maybe to celebrate this occasion, we'll just take a short, maybe 5-minute break. So if you've not had a chance to visit the coffee cart, you might go by and see what they have. So we'll be about 5 minutes and reconvene. All right, we would like to come back to our order of business. Next on our agenda is public comment, and have a note from Kathy Music.
Good evening, Dr. Scott, Chair Lady Guffey, members of the board. My name is Kathy Music, and I'm the regional representative for Virginia Professional Educators. And I just wanted to take a moment, first off, to thank the Bearcat Buggy. That was awesome. The coffee, I'm not even a coffee drinker, but what an awesome program. But also to let everyone know, the company that I represent is a company that's nonprofit. We're only in Virginia. We're teachers in Virginia by teachers in Virginia. And twice a year, we give away the excess money in grants and scholarships. You don't even have to be a member of our organization to get a grant or scholarship. And every year since I've been had this job, someone in my region, which for the most of the time I've done it, I've gone to 7 counties. Someone in my region is not even a member, has received the money because we're about teachers and helping in the classroom. And there's a girl in Scott County who every year, she's been a teacher 17 years. We give away grants twice a year, and she's gotten one every year because she's written one every year. So she wouldn't do that if the money wasn't there, and they wouldn't give it to her every year. So the money's out there, and I would love for someone in Bristol. I'll give you a few examples. My daughter, her first year teaching was, she wrote a grant. She taught second grade math, and she got math manipulatives, and it made a real difference in her classroom. I was a principal, and I bought a new laminating machine, and I was able to use the $500 for laminating film for my teachers. I was a hero that year because I didn't have to say, no, don't use too much. We had plenty. So it can be used for anything. They're very easy to write. The fall submission is November 15th. And a lot of times you have to spend the money and then be reimbursed, and I know that's not the best case scenario, but if you know what you're going to be needing in the next semester, you'll have the money by then. So they're very easy to write. If you look in the brochure, I gave you the third piece of paper, tells about how to do that. You have to send a resume, tell how you're going to use it, how it will benefit the classroom, and you have to share it to share what you're doing with other people so that they can utilize it as well. But anyway, thank you for your time. Thank you for everything you do. And please, I'd love for someone in Bristol to get some of the money because we are giving it away, and why not here? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Music, for your information. Next is our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve it?
I make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Mrs. Jones?
Mr. Alvis?
Yes.
Mr. Fletcher?
Yes.
Mr. Goodpasture?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Guffey?
Yes. Our next item is approval of contract purchase greater than $50,000 on our mobile communications America Sourcewell cooperative contract.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is for some additional radios. With our security grant that we had last year, and we were able to purchase, among other things, the security devices that our student reps highlighted earlier. We had some money left in that grant, and we have asked the grant writers if radios would be an acceptable way to spend that. And they have agreed, and so we are going to be purchasing 77 Motorola radios. Now, with that, I want to make very clear, we have 4 schools right now, and as we look around our 4 schools, we know that the high school was down to about 5 working radios. The middle school had next to nothing. Virginia Intermediate was able to cobble together a lot of the radios from the elementary schools last year, and had about 25 or 30, and the primary school had less than 10. And so we think that this is a good investment to help sort those out and to make sure that each school has at least 15 working radios. It should actually be more than that. But this will help increase communication to the distant parts of campus and throughout our buildings. And I know that the Virginia Intermediate is concurrently going to be doing a fundraiser. I had spoken with Mr. Rader about that. He wants to be able to outfit every teacher with a radio, and so that's going even above and beyond. But we feel as a school division, we need to make sure that we're meeting the basic needs of each of those schools, and the purchase of these radios should cover that.
I move we approve purchase of that equipment.
Second.
This past Saturday, I was touring around the Pride event downtown and ran into a couple of SRO police officers, and they're talking about how this is very necessary, and they want it big time. For particularly at the intermediate school, where there's some distances to be traveled, and the radio communication is critical.
Any other discussion? Mrs. Jones?
Mr. Alvis?
Yes.
Mr. Fletcher?
Yes.
Mr. Goodpaster?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaffey?
Yes. All right, that takes us into our closed session. So, Mr. Fletcher, would you read us into that, please?
Sure. Pursuant to Section 2.23711A1 of the Code of Virginia, I move that the board convene a closed meeting for the purpose of discussing the following matters: discussion of certain personnel and recommendation for employment.
Second.
Mrs. Jones?
Mr. Alvis?
Yes.
Mr. Fletcher?
Yes.
Mr. Goodpaster?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaffey?
Yes.
The Bristol, Virginia School Board certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting, and only such public matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were considered.
Second.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Is there any old or new business needs to be brought up at this time?
You want to approve attachment A?
I forget that.
I'll make a motion to approve attachment A.
Second?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Now.
Now.
What did I just vote?
Any old or new business?
Oh.
And hearing none, then the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.